remember Irvin's mom. This one story, she was telling me to go to my house, and I was hanging out with my friends. I was always hanging out with them, and I was with them all day. But Irvin's mom told me it was time to go home, and I said, "Oh, okay, well, I'll go." And I hopped on the bus and went to my house and said bye to all of them. When I got home, my mom and dad, they were up waiting really late for me until I finally got in the house. And they were both very upset. I was like, "Why are you guys all mad?" I said, "We've been waiting for a long time." We called Irvin's mom, and she said that you were supposed to be here a while ago, and I kind of blew them off. I just went and watched TV. My mom took the remote and she said, "No TV, you're punished." I remember I was really stubborn about it and just kind of didn't care, and had really just a bad attitude about it all. My mom said, "Are you hungry?" I said, "No, I want food." And she just kind of kept on. And my mom and Irvin's mom, they were talking and trying to figure out what to do. I said, "Man, Avi, he's just so stubborn. His behavior, his attitude. I want to find another school that'll give him a good education, that will discipline him." And I was kind of watching their conversation, and I was just like, I don't really care. So I was just going to do my own thing. My mom and dad, they were talking, trying to figure it out. And Irvin's mom was in the same position. So she started looking for a school. And then she found the ranch. And they could stay here and go to school instead of going to the one that we have in Tijuana. So my mom and dad called, and they were talking with Irvin's mom and said, "You know what? We're gonna take you to another school, one that'll help discipline you. One that it's a residential school, so you'll have to stay there." I was like, "No, I'm not going. I don't want to do that." And they're like, "No, you're gonna go. You're gonna go to this residential school, and you're gonna stay there." And I said, "No." My mom and dad explained, "What are you gonna do here? It's hard if you're not gonna go to school. You're gonna work." And so I was like, "All right, fine, I'll go in the car." So we went with we got in the car. I was sitting in the back. I didn't really know what was going on, and I remember I was friends with Irvin, and our moms were up in the front talking and stuff like that. I was just sitting in the car. My brother wasn't with me, so we were riding down. I remember my mom drove down. She had to, ask me if I had to use the restroom. No, all right. It's a pretty long ways from Tijuana. And I was like, what is going on? What are we doing? And we got to the ranch, and I was like, all right, this place is pretty weird. I don't know anybody here. I don't know this place. So I was just sitting in the car. My mom left, and she was talking with somebody, and I saw Irvin walking over there. I was like, okay. So, and then Mark came out, and he's like, "Hey, why don't you come with me?" I said, "No." He's like, "Come on, please, come over here." I said, "No." So Mark left, and he called some of the older boys, and I was sitting in the car. I was like, "I am not leaving this car." And they're like, come on, let's go." And I was just stubborn, and I was holding onto the car, and they were trying to physically pull me out. And then finally, I got tired, and they pulled me out, and they basically escorted me to the dorm. And I was sitting in there, and I just did not want to be here. I was hungry. I didn't know what time we were eating. And Mark's like, you gotta wait. So then later, we came down to the dining hall, and I was like, there are a lot of deaf people here. And I was kind of embarrassed and just kind of really quiet watching. I just kind of ate my food. The food was really different here. I'm kind of like, I don't really like it. And then I just went and kind of hid down by the trees by myself. And Irvin came over and said hi. I just don't really know who you guys are. And then, so that was kind of my first year here. Then I went home for the summer, and again, I was really just stubborn and not good to my parents. And then back in the fall, came back here. Started when I was 14. That first year I was 14. I remember I was learning stuff, and they were talking about Jesus. What is Jesus? I do not believe in Jesus. I don't know what you guys are talking about. And they're like explaining it to me, and I just did not get it. I was like, okay. I remember I was sitting watching, and Katie was teaching. She's one of our former dorm moms, and she was showing a movie about Jesus being crucified and forgiveness. And I was watching this, and Katie was asking me to answer some questions, and I was kind of answering a couple of them. And then later I moved to, I can't remember whose chapel class, but somebody else was teaching me. They're asking me, who is Jesus? What does it mean that he's God's son? What does that mean? I was like, oh, okay, well, that's pretty interesting. I started to learn a little bit more. And they asked me, if I wanted to believe. I was like, yeah, why I mean, sure, I don't really get it. And then the other students were kind of helping me understand. And I remember I went back to the dorm, showered, talked, and I was just kind of hanging out. And Josefina called, she sent Fernando to call me and get me down. So I was like, what's going on? And Fernando said, you and I need to go down. Josefina wants to tell us a story. So we came down here to the dining hall. We were sitting over there. And Josefina was just writing and drawing all this stuff and explaining it all. And asking what it means to have Jesus in your heart. And I understood, and I said, can you show me how to do that? So she explained the whole story, and that's when I got saved and things changed. I mean, I was still had a lot of sin. I still had a lot of problems, but decided that I kind of wanted to give that up. So as time went on, it was a really slow change, and it was just recently, actually, in December. I was at home with my mom. My mom was like, "What? I remember before you were having such a hard time. You were doing very poorly, and now you're doing so well. I'm just happy to see that." And she said, "Well, here's some money. You can go and buy some sweets." I'm like, "No, that's okay." She said, "No, it's fine. I love you. Why don't you go and get some sweets? Go." So I went to the store, and I said, "Can we go to a church, a Christian church that has signing?" And she said, "Okay." So we got in the car, and she said, "Well, I don't know where it is." I said, "Well, I know." So we kind of drove for a while and found the church. And I said, "Okay, let's go." And my mom said, "Can you go with me?" So I said, "Okay." So I held her hand, and we walked in the church and sat down. We were saying hi to everybody and sitting there. And the pastor was talking. There was interpreting, so I was watching the interpreting. And my mom was saying, what is this? What is this Jesus thing? I want this too. And my mom was asking me. I said, "Well, go up and talk to the pastor." And she was like, "No." And so I walked with her up when church was over and everybody had left. I went up with her to the pastor, and the pastor was kind of explaining who Jesus was, and put his hands on my mom and prayed, and it was just a really cool thing. And my mom was just really different. She's like, that her heart was changed too. So now, every Sunday, she's like, "I want to go to church every Sunday." And I said, "We'll do it. Go." I have to go back to school in January, but yeah, I'm really happy that you're saved. And she said, seeing your heart and how it's changed made me want to do that too.